I'm Sally. I'm the founder of Women in the Law UK. We've got a great afternoon for you this afternoon. Sue, if you came to the conference, you will have met Sue and know that she's brilliant and a guru on many things.
So we're actually going to talk about time management and organisation today, because that's so difficult when the sun's shining like today and Caroline sat outside and there's so many distractions that it's important to actually get to grips with what you need to achieve in a day. And also most of you are working now in a totally different environment, and which makes it really hard. So I thought I'd talk about some of the time management techniques, and particularly some of the home time management techniques now that you've got, because some of you are already seen on there that some of you like Sian, you've got children at home. So that's another distraction. So first of all, on time management, there are lots of different techniques, and there are some really ones that I think absolutely fabulous. And I thought we'd have a bit of fun today while I shared some of those ideas with you. So you're going to have probably going to have a to-do list. Okay, now on your to-do list, you'll put everything down, and then the thing is you can't do everything on the same day. So the other day, I'll just get my to-do list off my wall, and this was my Corona day one to-do list. All right, now that's not only to do in one day. This is day one of my Corona list. So I know that over the next 3 months, I'm going to be doing that. And you'll see I've already crossed some things off which I did yesterday. So it's important to have a bit of a longer term vision and a plan, as well as the things you need to get done each day, and prioritise those. So I'll come back to to-do lists in a minute. But the first thing is you're going to be inundated, especially on your computer now, with emails. And not so much paper, but you might have a load of paper as well. So I've got this technique called touch it once. And it's a fabulous technique. And you know when you get bombarded with all this stuff, so all your emails or a pile of paper, and you've got to think, oh, I've got to go through all of that. Well, this is generally what we do. Let's deal with it for paper first, because it's the same principle for online. So you've got your piles of paper. It's all come in, and you think, oh, flipping heck, I've got to go through all that. So the first thing we do always is we look at the first one. You say, all right, yeah, I've got to get that done. Yeah, I need to speak to Pete about that, and Joanne, she's not around today, so I'll put that there because I'll need to deal with that later on. Right, this one. Yeah, well, I might have filed that. It might be useful. Jackie might need have a look at that. So I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I'll put it there because I'll deal with it later. Right, all right, that's got to be done. What time is it now? It's yeah, it's 1 o'clock. I need that doing by 4, so I'll put it on the urgent pile. And then we just go through and we have a look at all the different pieces of paper, and they all go into different files on the desk. Yeah, and suddenly from one nice neat pile, you're now suffering very badly with piles, and they're painful. And somebody once told you that a tidy desk is a tidy mind. So now instead of one pile, I've now got 15 all over the place and over the floor, and then you bring them all back together again. And we start again. So we've already touched it, we've not made any effort, we've not made any progress with it, but it's just sitting there and it's still hanging about. So the touch it one technique is the fact you've only got that one opportunity to deal with that particular item. And you can do one of 4 things with it. You can either bin it, that's really good. Yeah, gone. You can file it. Now this keeps you fit, because if your filing drawer or where your filing pile is nowhere near your desk, then that's great for fitness because it goes like this. Oh, needs filing. Yeah, and we're back again. And so before you know it, you've already lost half a stone on filing. You can either delegate it, which means that you can pass it on to somebody else, or you action it. And when you action it, it has to be actioned completely. So you get rid of it. Instead of saying, oh, well, I need to, yeah, I'll have a look at that later, just do it. You do it while you've got the chance there, and then get it out of the way. What you'll find is that for everything you've got, it actually gets rid of it much quicker, and you feel a lot better because actually that pile's going down and being actioned, rather than sitting there and growing and festering, and you see it and you think, I'm going to deal with it. So those are the 4 things. We either bin it, file it, action it, or delegate it. Now, the best delegator I know is called Sally Penny, because she's always brilliant at delegating. Aren't you, Sally? So what do we do when we've got emails? Well, emails are quite wonderful things because they arrive in a great big pile. So you might have been out, doing other things, managing to get out for your once a week shopping or whatever else, or Sean, you've been busy with the kids, whatever. And your in tray in your computer comes up really, really big. So what do? We do exactly the same again. We look at each one and say, oh, we click on it and we say, all right, okay, well, I need to have a look at that and I'll do that a bit later. Oh, yeah, that's important. I must get done that. I'll do that before 1 o'clock and do it. And we go through. Now, when your emails first arrived on your computer, what colour were they? So they've just arrived in your inbox. What colour are they? I'm waiting for an answer on the chat. I've never got a chat line. Oh, okay. No, nobody got an answer.
Well, they're unread.
Absolutely.
Oh.
They are black, thick black, right? So there they are, thick black. And then you look at it. What colour does it become when you've looked at it?
Normal.
Normal, yeah. And so now it's normal. And what happens is other emails pop in over the top, and that little email that you're going to do, it zips itself down and down and down the screen, and then eventually it pops itself off. Now, out of sight, it's out of mind. So when it's out of sight, it then you lose track of it in the system because you're so busy with everything else. So it's a really good opportunity while you're at home to do exactly the same thing for touching it once on your computer. So you open it and you either action it, you bin it, you file it into the appropriate file, or you forward it on to somebody for further action. Now, not everything with the jobs that you can do can be finished in one go. So what the rule is that you take that particular job to the farthest point that you can possibly go personally yourself at that moment, because it may well be that somebody else might need to come back to you with other information. But as far as you're concerned, you've taken it on its journey as far as you can out of the way. And so what you'll find very quickly is that all of your emails will be dealt with a lot faster, which means then you can concentrate on the more important things that you've got to get to grips with in your job. Okay, so that's the touch it ones. And loads of people for years and years phone me up and say, God, Serge, I came back off my holidays, I've got 380 emails, that's probably just a day for you lot, yeah? And I went on touch it once and I got rid of everything and I feel a lot better. So it's just about making sure you're on top of it. Now, the opposite to that is called plan your work and work your plan. And it's the opposite because this is where we want you to concentrate on the job in hand. So the first bit is when you've got a pile of stuff and you need to just get it down in order then to concentrate on the most important stuff. So then we do your plan your work and work your plan. Now, it's a bit different these days because you're all working from home. People have got different constraints out there when they're working from home as well. So trying to get something done in set timescales isn't as easy at the moment. So plan your work and work your plan is about having a plan and saying, okay, I need to achieve this by this date. So always start from the back. So write the back date. So I need to have done that by the 8th of April. So then you go back to the front and say, okay, if that's going to be done by the 8th of April, what's the first thing that I need to do? And start chunking it down. And you put the dates on as well. Now, the big problem is human intervention. And it's a problem when we're at work anyway, but it's definitely a problem now, is human intervention, because you might have a plan to get you from today to the 8th of April, but there are certain things that other people have to do in between that process. And even though you say, can I have this back for the 30th so that I can do the next bit, you're sitting waiting for that to come back on the 30th, and hey presto, it doesn't come back. And it doesn't come back because your priorities and somebody else's priorities may not necessarily be the same. So where you've got human intervention, always give yourself a bit of an extra bit of a plan. So if you want something in for the 30th, and it's today the 26th, you ask the person to have it done for the 30th, but on the 28th, you go back to them and you say, don't forget, I need that information for the 30th. And tell them why you need that information. And the reason why we do that is not to be on the back, but if we left it to the day and said, have you got that stuff for me? And they say, oh God, you know, I can't look to my eyes in it, and I've got this case to do, and I'm dealing with this, whatever. I can't do it today. Suddenly your date's just gone. But if you go back to them on the 28th or the 29th and say, don't forget, I need that for tomorrow, then it then pops into their important box, because it's not important to them, it's important to you. So always, if you're dealing with human beings, put an extra little bit of time in, and a little reminder to them, a nice reminder that says, oh, hi Fiona, don't forget to get that stuff ready for tomorrow, because I need to get that ready for the court case. Okay, and Fiona says, oh God, I've forgotten all about that. Right, I'll get onto it now, because she still knows she's got time to do it. So it just brings it out of your priorities into somebody else's priorities. If you give them a week's notice, of course, other things will get in their to-do list and their priorities, and they'll forget all about it. So that's an interesting one. Now, because we're in the time we're in, it's so easy when you're at home to do things that take you straight off on different tangents. How many of you have had your notifications up for your Facebook and Twitter and all of that, and it's been pinging away, and you think, oh, let's have a look, see who's writing, ooh, yeah, and we can zoom off in lots of different directions. So I use a colour time technique to sort my day out, to make sure that I'm only doing the things that I need to be doing at that time of day, or the best time for dealing with that. So think about nighttime, more daytime, and in between time. So if we say that nighttime or out of work time is blue time. So this could be, I don't know, it depends on what time you get up. For me, it's about 5:30 in the morning, till around about 8:30. Or it could be after 6:30 at night. So this is what I call blue time. Blue time is the time to do all your research on the line, on computer, to do everything by wandering into Google or whatever. All of that is, you don't need to speak to another human being for that. Book your tickets, your trains, for anything else. That's if we're ever going to get released from our homes. But anything that you need to do that means you don't need to speak to another human being, that's the time to use your blue time. So your blue time is about not getting sidetracked into all the stuff. So you go to order something online and you think, oh, that looks nice, and you wander off somewhere else, and before you know it, you've spent the last half an hour zooming around Google and booking some things on eBay. All right, so most important, keep your blue time separate for things where it doesn't need human intervention. Your yellow time is your normal working time. So that's your 9 till 5 or whatever time it is that you're working. So your 9 till 5 is where you've got to speak to other human beings, either on the phone or by messages, and have that connection with them. So that's really important time, because they're going to be around at that time as well. Okay. And then the other bit, which is I call green time, which is your mix between yellow and blue, is for the people that you know are going to be around at certain times. So for me, I have a little network marketing business, and I know pretty much that if I needed to get in touch with them out of normal working time is okay. So I'll probably contact them after 5:30 and before 7 o'clock. So that's a sort of little period of time where you know, because you know the person really well, that they're going to be around and that's not going to interfere with your day. And the other side of that would be about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 9:30. So that was what we call green time. So there's certain people, it might be family members or so, that you can contact at that bit of time, and try and keep those bits of time sorted out as to making the best use of it. Because I know when you get home and you start getting on that computer, you can whir off into a whole magic world and then think suddenly you've lost 2 or 3 hours. Okay, so the next one I love is my little friend that some of you met when you saw me speak, and this is him. This is Gollum. Now, Gollum from the Lord of the Rings. Some of you thought he only came out for networking, but he doesn't. He comes out for time management, don't you? Yeah, of course he does. And Gollum is the bit where we know we've got to get some things done, and we know we've got to get down to it, but actually, do you know, the sun's shining, washing needs going on, I'll just sort some time out with the kids, I just do this, I just do that, or it's a really big, ugly, horrible job and we don't want to get down to it. And we call that Golluming, because Gollum in Lord of the Rings is in 2 books and 4 films. And all he does in 2 books and 4 films is have an argument with himself, because there's 2 sides to Gollum, isn't there? Good Gollum and bad Gollum. They've got different names, Gollum and Schmeagol. Now, good Gollum would say,
Yes, focus on my to-do list. Get the works done. We like sis working. We like sis achieving targets and objectives. We like sis helping customers. Yes, we like sis working.
and then bad Gollum comes out and he says,
I don't like sis working. The sun's shining. The children are playing in the garden. I have a pile of ironing to do. I hate sis this work. Oh no. We'll do other things instead. We like sis doing other things. We like sis Googling.
and so what happens is that we split up our work and we go and do totally different things. So you've now got a new word from today, Golluming. And Golluming is what you do when you are trying to avoid all the other important stuff that you need to get done. So you can have a little word with yourself and say, do I need to do this, or am I just Golluming? Okay, it's a new word. So we're back to these to-do lists now. Now, to-do lists are fabulous, aren't they? So, but most people, they do a to-do list first thing in the morning. That is the wrong time to do a to-do list. Always do your to-do list the night when you've finished your work, write your to-do list ready for the next day. And the reason for this is that by the time we've got up in the morning, we've had a bit of breakfast, and we've perhaps done a bit of exercise, and we've dealt with a few things that we need to do with, then we sit down and we sit at the desk and we think, okay, what do I need to do today? And then we start writing a list. Well, we've already lost 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the day writing the list. Whereas at night time, when you write your list, you know what you've achieved. You sit down and say, okay, this is my plan for tomorrow. So when you sit down, you're straight back into it. So you're not having that messing about. So always do your to-do lists the night before. For a weekend, do it on the Friday, ready for the next week. So it might be a longer to-do list because you might have to cover the whole week. So the Friday. And the reason for this as well is that we have these little things in our heads, like a bit like Gollum really, that says, oh, over the weekend, I must do such and such. Oh, and I've got to remember to phone such and such. Oh, I need to get that done. All of these things go in our heads. And over the weekend, it mithers us and mithers us and mithers us because we haven't done it. So if you write it down on a Friday afternoon, it's then written down. And actually, the funny thing is, it doesn't bother your head now because now it's written on a piece of paper. It's a bit like, you know, some of you might know that if you get an idea in your head at night or something's come up you've got to do for the next day, if you write it down at the side of your bed, Once you've written it down, it then comes out your head. Other than that, it floats about there all the time. So that's exactly the time things are happening in the evening and over the weekend. So just get it out of the way. You know, the other thing to trick your head, by the way, is to pretend to write it down at the side of your bed, because your eyes will still be shut and you probably haven't got a pen and paper. But if you actually lean out of bed and write it down as if you're pretending to write, it tricks the brain to think you've already done it. Just a little trick. Okay. So your to-do lists. The next one's prioritising. Now, prioritising is fabulous, isn't it? Yeah. So I need some response from you now. How do you prioritise? You've got a pile of things to do, right? How do you prioritise them on your list? So write some ideas down. How do you prioritise? Just one thing at a time, just type it out if you can. Do you all know how to do that? Go to the chat button at the bottom and type in. All right, okay, good. Caroline, the most urgent, or what it can do the fastest. Those are two totally different things, okay? I write everything out, then go back through it and prioritise it. Okay, good, all right. Anything else in terms of priorities? Right, let's stick to the urgent and the fastest first. First of all, yes, the urgent. The urgent's got to go out first. Okay. But then we've, client urgency. Ah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Who's asking? Or who's shouting the loudest? Yeah. Oh, I've got to do that for them because they're an important client. We've got to do that for that person because they'll go mad at me if I don't. So it's who shouts the loudest, or perhaps the most important client urgency. Fee earner urgency, of course, because you've got to get paid. Who's more likely to go with that one? Who's more likely to complain? Again, so all this is about other people determining your timescales. Okay, it's not about you determining your timescales. After the urgent stuff, I want to do the least first. So you want to do the stuff that you want to do the least first. I've got that, Sean. Okay. So we write the stuff down on the list. You've got a whole pile. And you say, okay, right, now I need to sort it out into urgent. So we put the urgents down on your list. Okay. And then you look at, well, actually, and don't tell me you don't do this because I know you do. This is the one where you do all the things you like doing first. Okay. Oh, well, I like doing that, so I'll do that. And that's a quick one. I'll cross that off the list. And some people I know even write things on the list that they've already done so they can cross it back off because they enjoy crossing it off. It's a mad thing, yeah? But that's what happens. So once you've got rid of all the things that you like doing, of course, you've left on the list all the horrible, difficult, dreary rubbish that you don't like doing, or the most important. Because the most urgent and the most important are not the same things. So when we've got our most important, we tend to leave those to the side to say, well, that's really important, but I'll get rid of that because they're shouting at that and I'll need to do that. And I like this job and hate that. So we get rid of all of that and we leave the important. So what happens with the important is that it gets left because you say, oh, it's really important. I need to concentrate on that. I'll pop that aside. I'll do that another time. And bit by bit by bit, the important becomes then urgent. So now it's urgent and important. So we've got a couple of different things. We've got the urgent, the importance, and what we call the dross work. Things that are not urgent or important, but it's just things we've got to do. So eventually what happens is that the important that you really need to get down to, you need to put your headspace in, suddenly you've left it, now it becomes urgent and now it bites your bottom. Okay, and now you panic. And it's a bit like, when you're doing your exams or wherever, or you're preparing for a presentation, And you said, you know, if only I had more time to prepare for that, I'd have done a far better job. Well, you had all the time that there was, and you just did other things with it. So never say you've never got time. And one of my mentors many years ago gave me a particular job to do, and it was an important job, and it was a job that would have been really beneficial to me, but it wasn't urgent. But he did ask it for in a certain time, and he said, eventually he said, have you done that job, Sue? And I said, do you know, I said, I haven't. I said, I've just not had the time. And he said, Sue, you had all the time there was, but you just decided to do something else with it. And you know, from that day onwards, I could never ever open my mouth and say to anybody, I haven't had the time, because we did. We had that. We had the time. We had all the time there was possible. So because I've been working at home for the last 14, 16 years, there's lots of things that comes natural to me, which won't be natural to you when you're working from home for the first time. So one of the things that I suggest you do, especially if you're having to share computer time with a partner, you've got the kids there or whatever, is to organise yourself some block time. So block time is a period of time uninterrupted by the phone, by your social media, by the kids, by the other half, whatever it is, where you can really get down to getting a job completed and finished and bottomed. And block time. So what you do is you trade your block time. You say to them, look, I really need 1 hour today, totally uninterrupted, or maximum 2 hours, totally uninterrupted, where I could just get on with that job and get that bottomed. So it could well be that you might need to trade your block time. Just look, I need this hour today to do this. So later on, I'll give you an hour of my time, or the kids an hour of my time, and you trade it that way. And you can do it in the office as well. You know, can you just take all the phones and everything off me now? For an hour, I really need to get down to get this important job sorted out. So call it block time. You block that period of time. But it's really good for trading and good for communication, especially with the kids. Yeah, I need an hour, right, uninterrupted, and then I will give you such and such later on. So it's nice. And the kids also can perhaps have the same hour uninterrupted. So what have we got to tell you about working at home? Well, first of all, I'm going to get my sheet down off the wall, because I've written it in and I've got my glasses on and I still can't read it. Okay. When you get up in the morning, you're getting up for work, right? So it's really easy when you're at home and you're not going to see anybody, at least except for once a week when you're going out shopping. For the next 3 months, it's dead easy to get into a slobby situation and start being in your PJs or your onesies. Okay, most important thing is get up and ready for work. It's like putting your uniform on, yeah? So you do your exercises. I do stretches when I first get up in the morning, because I've got terrible arthritis, so I need to get my legs moving. But also now I've got a bit more time, so I get on my bike for 10 miles in the morning, have a shower, get myself ready for work. It's a working day. Yeah? What you do at the weekend, what you wear at the weekend's up to you, but let's get ready for work. Clothes on as normal. If you wear makeup, normally put your makeup on. Yeah? Whatever you do, get yourself into the swing of it. Create your to-do list. And make sure that you can get ready for action as you start on that button in the morning. You need to make sure, though, that you have proper breaks and you have a proper lunchtime, because it's so easy to miss it. Now, I'm really lucky, because through that door behind me is my wife, Sue, and she makes sure that I eat. The other thing she makes sure I always have is some water and something to drink, because I'm terrible, because I'll think, oh, could really do with a brew. So I'll go and put the kettle on, and by the time I come back in and get stuck in with something, I've forgotten to make my brew. So she usually comes back in and she says, were you having a brew about half an hour ago? I said, oh yeah, shall I just do you one? Yes. So, but you know, she's special. She's just special. So always make sure that you've got plenty of water to hand, and drink regularly, especially with the coronavirus around. You need to make sure that you're really quite hydrated. So proper lunch break, leave everything. You're on your lunch, yeah? You can even send an email out that says, right, it's my lunchtime, I'm off for an hour. Okay, during that time, eat, do your exercising, whatever you want to do, sit in the garden with Caroline, whatever. Okay, but have a break. What we like to do, Sue and I, is at lunchtime, we sit down and do a crossword together. Yeah, it takes us a good hour to do it because we're not that bright, but you know, it's a bit of time to spend together. If you're with the kids, you need to have special time together during the day in small times as you go through. So you need to also fit in, I've got the schools, we've got the homeschooling to do, I've got to have a bit of time to play with the kids and set the stall out as how it's going to be. So I'm going to work from 9 till 10:30, and then we're going to have an hour of play. So set the time accordingly so they know what you're doing and they know what they can do as well. Limit your social media time. It's so easy to just get on that and just wander off in Facebook and LinkedIn and all see what everybody else is doing. You really need to switch those notifications off during the day, and perhaps just go on at set times. So you might be a bit nosy and see what's going on first thing in the morning. It's about 8:30, and then again at lunchtime, and then you know, maybe something like 3:30. Go and see what's going on. Join in a little bit. So you've still got that little social time as well, and then of course you've got the evening to sort yourself out on your social media, unless of course you're doing social media for work, and then you can fit that into the plan, but not off chatting. I also think it's really useful to tell people when you're going to be available for them, particularly now, people that you can't see, like family members. Yeah. So you might tell your brother or your mum or your auntie or whatever, your best friend, your sister, right, I'm not going to be available to have any contact with you until at least 12 o'clock. So don't phone me or FaceTime me or text me or WhatsApp me before that, because I won't be able to answer you. And once you start getting into that mode, they'll actually start to accept that's how it's going to be for you while you're working from home, because people think, oh, well, they're only at home, so I'll just send them a quick message. Okay, so I think it's important to train other people how you need to work and to get the best from you, because they'll forget. Stop working at tea time and have a nice relaxing evening, and especially if you've got kids, spend that extra quality time with the kids. Watch the telly, read your book, whatever else. You can't go anywhere except for out for a quick walk with the dog or whatever. So, you know, but it's important that you switch yourself off and do your own things, because you've got 3 months of this at least. So, you know, your time is as important. If you're working from home, then, as we said, plan your activities and plan fun time in, because I think that's really important, because you know, it's a real strange situation for the kids to be home all the time. The longest time we normally have it is over Christmas, and you know what happens at Christmas, everybody falls out. So it's really special that you get things sorted out with the kids and they get into a routine and a pattern, but they have some fun time as well. So yesterday outside, there's children next door, and they had a couple of little periods where they were out and enjoying themselves, playing. And you know, I felt that their relationships were far better because somebody was actually spending some quality time with them. So that was nice. When you've got to the end of the day, look how successful you've been. Go back to your to-do list and congratulate yourself on what you've done, because you'll have done some smashing stuff, totally different circumstances than you'd normally work, and give yourself a bit of a pat on the back, and also give yourself a bit of a treat, whatever is a treat for you. Which of course getting limited these days for treats. And always work towards a bigger goal every day. So have something, you might have your to-do list for the day, but there's always got to be your bigger plan that you're aiming for, and keep making a little bit of progress on that bigger plan. So I'm writing a book on dealing with attitude, behaviour and performance in the workplace. And so every day I try and, well, not every day, but you know, I try and make some good progress on that book as it goes through. It's not something I need to do urgently, but I want to, yeah, I want to make a bit of progress with it. And just to let you know, and I'd like a bit of response, not now, but at a later date, I'll send you all a message. I'll come back to you, Caroline Wood, in a minute. Just seeing your message on there. I'm going to call it, can we have a word? Can I have a word? Because that automatically creates some feelings in your body, and that's the title of the book. Because generally, when people say that, it's not good news, and it creates an environment. So mine's about dealing with performance, behaviour, and attitude in the workplace without causing offence, arousing resentment, and having everybody feeling absolutely okay afterwards. And so that's what the book's about. And give yourselves a breaks in the sun. There's Caroline sitting in that beautiful sunshine out there. It's not going to last. It's going to be really cold for the next few days. So if you get yourself a chance, just get out there and have a break, have a drink, and get out in the sun. It's a different situation for work because you can get up and you go to the loo and you can chat to people, but you're in a different environment now. So there's all sorts of things that you can do just to get yourself in the swing of this working from home bit. Okay, let's go down to some of the messages. Sean, you said the stuff that you want to do the least, the most horrible bits first. Okay, yeah, a lot of people do that because they say, oh, I'll get all that horrible stuff out of the way, and then I've got the nice stuff to do, or the urgent and important stuff, which never gets done because you're doing all the wrong stuff first. What I like best was my GCE revision approach. When the important becomes urgent, it becomes a lot more stressful. Absolutely, it bites your bottom. So get the important done first. I agree with this. My husband also works from home all the time, and he'd give me jobs to do during the working day when I'm at home. So I have to shut the door of the office. It's a policy not to do jobs in the day. Absolutely, absolutely. It's about training the husband and training the kids and training the dog. So you didn't have to do any of that training before, but now you've got to start it. Now you're working from home. Also, my mum can't understand why I'm not available for chats during the working day. Again, it's training. You got to train your mum. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Oh, thank you, Sally. So thank you for the great title. I like that.
Brilliant.